would like to discuss today the unexpected efficiency of confinement and social measure on the reduction of the COVID-19 pandemic propagation in France. So I would like to remind you that a couple of weeks ago we published on medRxiv a manuscript about the monitoring and prediction of the SARS pandemic after confinement using a multiscale age-stratified rate model. So what we found at that time is the following prediction. So this is the number of days, this number of infected, new infected, and we looked at 4 different scenarios, at least in this case, where you can see during confinement the peak of new infected. And here we looked at across different categories, but specifically category 1 here, which is the young group. We varied the social distances effect because at school it was not sure at that time how wearing mask could change the future of the pandemic. And so what we found is that basically here, so there are 4 scenarios. In the first one in black there was like no school or mask wearing, and so you see that the newly infected people decrease. However, if there was no mask, or at least with still social distances, you see here the prediction in red. And so this is for the new infected, this is for the hospitalized, ICU, and cumulated death. And this is what happened if we had an effect of mask, which was just by dividing. The effect is just to divide the R0, the reproduction number, by 1.5, and here is 1.5 plus test. So what came as a surprise is that we are now June 4th, the 14th, and we are exactly following a curve like the black one, showing that everything is under control. Although we are still in a period where the society has not fully been deconfined, yet we are in a case where the pandemic looks completely under control. And so then I wanted to show you here the comparison between the data. So this is for the 5 regions that we started to look at here in red compared to France. And here is, you can see where the cursor here, the total number of, the fraction of infected people. And as a function of time, you see that this number show a decreasing in the total number of infected, showing that the pandemic is being its weakness, it becomes weakened across time. Although here you see that the number of infected decreased, and here's the number of tests, which is about constant during the same period of time. So this is really due to a decrease of the number of people being infected. And so why it works so well? So I have to say that it was a very touchy question. It was unclear what would have happened after deconfinement. And I would say that this behavior is quite unexpected. 30 days or more, around more than 1 month after deconfinement, based on our modeling approach. And I would say that the situation is similar to the one where we would have kept confinement and social distances. I remind you that we predicted, we and others, like 5% of the total population was infected on May 11th, with about 12% in the 5 most important regions. So there was this heterogeneity. So why it works so well? So I must say that it is not really predicted by our model that it will work so well unless we are with these social distances. But we can see now in the street of Paris and in France that wearing masks. I mean, people are not necessarily fully wearing masks all the time. And so now I would like to recall Pasteur thinking and formulate the same hypothesis that he formulated more than 150 years ago. That virus infection later during continuous stage, that is after a person has been infected, basically there are two time period, two time period that we should consider. One is the first just after infection, and when the person is infectious, then when it passes early on the virus might be very virulent. While if the person passes a virus later on, mostly toward the end of the virulent stage, then the virus, the efficacy has diminished drastically. And so maybe this is what happened during the confinement time. That is, the virus that was selected for contagious was the one that was the very late in the fabrication of the virus by the body. And it was the same thinking as Pasteur used to for the rabies virus, for creating the vaccine. At that time, the idea was more we wait, more the virulence is going down. And so maybe this is what happened during this confinement time, because there was no, at that time, the population didn't get infected, and there was no collective immunity. So based on this, of course, there is a risk to be assessed, which is not clear, of a new and strong form appearing in the fall or in the future, because unless we have a vaccine, this is not clear that we are not at risk of a new pandemic, of a new wave that could happen. So this is what I wanted to say based on our modeling effort that we made over the last couple of months. Thank you.